Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam, otherwise known as Thembashad this evening. And alongside me, as always, is the GM, Tarek. How you doing tonight?
Captain Tarek, to you. Yar.
Oh my.
Tis be a good night for football. Let's talk about this. Yar.
Indeed, indeed, and do.
I'm not keeping that up
And
all night.
nope. Of course, we are joined by the person that I burnt to a crisp, King Football Jesus. How you doing tonight?
I'm feeling a little, what's the word? Naked. But, I'm here. Let's talk about football. I'm losing my crown.
Falling off.
So let's get into it. Oh, no.
Is that symbolic? Is that a metaphor?
We're not going to make that a thing.
It's a thing.
Of course, we are also joined by Minnie Mouse. Jessica, how you doing this evening?
I am good. I'm glad the last week football games they're kind of behind us now. It was kind of a not as exciting of a week. There were some really exciting moments, but I'm looking forward to the next week for football. And I'm over here snacking, so I'm happy.
Nice. Well, we are, of course, brought to you by Aardvark Concepts Incorporated, more than just a sign shop. Check them out in Westminster for all of your decal and sign needs. And, of course, in Too Deep of Maryland, they do have an acoustic show coming up. Check them out on Facebook for their next show, for where they're playing and when they're playing. It's always a good time. Speaking, of course, as Jessica said, there were some good games last week. A couple of injuries as well, which were unfortunate. Stephon Diggs out for the season, and Jordan Love going down in the first quarter of his game. Otherwise, they might have had a shot to win that one. I gotta ask, since the trade deadline is coming up, and we've seen quite a few injuries to key players. Anybody who do you think needs something right now to put them into playoff contention, into possible Super Bowl contention?
Besides missing my skin, I think there's a team out there that they can add by subtracting, and that's the Las Vegas Raiders. They have so many problems all around their football team that a player of the caliber of Max Crosby could really get them a return for next year to be competitive, because they're not going to be competitive with Alexander Mattison as an RB1, with Gardner Minshew as a quarterback, and I think Jacoby Myers is now their wide receiver one now that Devontae Adams has left. So I think the best thing for the Oakland Raiders and whoever they can get the most picks out of is to trade a guy like Max Crosby, and really set themselves up for the future instead of holding on to a guy that they like and want to keep playing there.
So I would agree. I think that's a great. They need to be in a rebuilding phase anyway, so that they can actually be competitive next year. And along those same lines, I'm going the more selfish route, and I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens really need a pass rusher like Max Crosby. Would be great, or some help in the secondary. The Ravens are really struggling on defense, and they just traded for was it Johnson?
Deontay
Johnson.
Yep.
So they're getting more help on the offense, but the defense is really what's struggling for the Ravens. And I think if they could either get some help in the secondary or another pass rusher so that the quarterbacks are not getting as much time, teams aren't running all over the Ravens like they are currently, it would really make them Super Bowl contenders this year.
Side note, I think since Jess took the team I was going to go with, which is fine, I think also coaching strategy needs to change a little bit. I've been going off anybody I will talk to football at work lately with this. Like, just strategy. Them eating up the clock. They should have eaten up the clock more and given the Browns less time to be able to come back and win Sunday. But that's a separate issue. That's not the question at hand. I'm going to go with my second team, be selfish like Jess, with the Broncos. I don't think they're a contender for the Super Bowl this year, but they're doing better than everyone thought they were. I came into this very leery because we thought he was going to go really well last year and then just the bed. So Bo Nix is doing better. He's still not up to par, up to where he needs to be, but I think he needs some targets. I think he needs some more wide receivers. I think he needs some targets or a good, better tight end to just be able to block and get those inside routes. So I think that's a need for them.
I'm gonna stay in the same division as you there, Tarek. I'm gonna say the Los Angeles Chargers. They could use a couple more pass catchers on their team specifically. They don't put up a lot of points for a guy who threw the ball around a lot in the last couple of years. He had some really good targets to get it out there, though. And to be honest, if I was them, I might be targeting maybe the Giants for one of their pass catchers. They might. Malik Neighbors, I think, is a rookie this year, so they're not going to give him up. But Darius Slayton, pretty good option, especially as a number 2, number 3. But I think that those teams, that team is probably in real desperate need of a catching receiver right now because their offense is just stagnant. They need something. So
I just like to point out we picked 3 of the 4 AFC West teams.
Indeed, we did.
Everyone but the stupid Dynasty Chiefs.
Yeah, they don't need anything else. They need to give things away. Speaking of giving things away, let's take a look at our standings and see how much football Jesus has given things away.
Absolutely none.
He is one more behind us than he was last week. The 3 of us, of course, tied for the week.
All thanks to your Cowboys, Sam, because they made me look like a fool.
Hey, I didn't pick them.
If I had listened,
I get 11 right. I did not think I did.
Mm-hmm.
If I had listened to you guys and not picked the Buccaneers, I would have won this week.
Well, that one was closer than it should have
It was.
been.
I was watching I had it pinned on my phone and watching the score. I was like, come on, I almost have this one.
See, that's the thing is like, even when you lose, as long as it was a close game, you don't feel like a complete idiot because you're like, well, see, they could have won.
Not like the Cowboys game.
Mm-hmm.
No. Nope.
Yeah, he's still a little toasty about that one. All right, let's get into our games of the week. We're going to start with the toasty one. King Football Jesus, what do you give us that gospel, sir?
Well, you said it best a few seconds ago, things that are closer than they should be. So I took a divisional match this week with the LA Rams playing the Seattle Seahawks. This division is way closer than it should be when you look at these teams top to bottom. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals are in first place. Like, they should not be in first place. But we know that the Rams are better than their record advertises because they've been without Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, who they both just got back last week, and they put up a lot of good offensive plays. However, the Seattle Seahawks got embarrassed in Seattle by the Buffalo Bills. They were without DK Metcalf. They had absolutely no passing game, and it showed that their running game is almost predicated on them being able to go 3 wide and throw the ball. So, what do I look at this game? I don't think it has so much to do with the playmakers of Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, but Kyron Williams, who has scored a touchdown in his last 10 games, I think he's going to be another big factor this week. And I'm going with the LA Rams taking this game and putting themselves, well, depending on the other games, into a potential 3-way tie for first place.
So this is the Rams versus Seahawks. Yeah, I'm definitely going with the Rams here. I think I picked the Rams. But the Rams are healthy. Puka Nacua came back, looked great. Whereas the Seahawks are in a downward spin. They're like 1-4 in their last 4 games. they've gotten their butt handed to them a couple of times. So the Rams.
And she's gone, people. Unfortunately, she has dropped from the feed. But hopefully she
Black
will be
magic.
It's a Halloween curse. It's a curse.
We'll see if she comes back. But in the meantime, Tarek, keep going.
Oh, yes. So these are. Oh, there she is.
She's
The
back.
curse has been lifted. The curse has been lifted.
I will be taking this computer to an Apple store sometime soon. Sorry, I don't know where I left off, but I'm taking the Rams. They're on upward projection. They have momentum. Seahawks not so much.
So, looking at this one, I believe that a witch will come down and cast a spell on both of these teams, turning them into their lycanmorphic forms. So you should have a were-ram and a were-seabird attacking. The Rams shall not be able to attack the birds from the air. And playing the chalk, the Seahawks will win.
That's a lot of chalk.
Yeah.
I look at this game, and yes, I see the return of Kupp and Puka, and the fact that they have a good running game, and their defense has been pretty decent the past couple weeks. Seattle, obviously, DK, he was not feeling it last week. So, and of course, Tyler Lockett is a shadow of what he has been in the past. Their running game hasn't been all that great. I got the Rams in this one. I think the last week was the turning point for the Rams. I think maybe they start going on a run. They may take the lead in this division here shortly. So, all right. Let's get on to our next game of the week. We have Tarek. What have you drawn up for us today?
All right. I have it's the Browns and I completely forgot. Chargers and the Browns. There we go.
There we go.
So we have the Browns coming off a victory off the Ravens that I consider was crap, but the Ravens didn't play well enough. And the Chargers with a better record. See. The Chargers will be empowered by a lightning spell. The Browns shall be pounded into the dog pound dirt that they are. The Chargers shall power up and power through and be blasted to victory.
So, off of that, I have the Browns in this one, mainly because I watched the Chargers game last week against the Saints, another game that yours truly picked incorrectly. But what I saw in that game wasn't the Chargers offense playing well. It was the Saints defense playing poorly. So I think this is just another case of Greg Roman not knowing how to call an actual NFL offense. He would probably be great in any collegiate offense out there, but the NFL, that stuff doesn't fly forever. So I have the Browns in this one. I don't think this is going to be a pretty game because the Browns came out of that Ravens game with the victory, but with a couple of key injuries. And I see this being the game that's like 17-16 on a last second field goal. But I have the Browns in this one just because I think Myles Garrett is going to give that piecemeal offensive line fits.
So I'm actually going with the Chargers here. I think that the Browns, had a decent run last week. They did beat the Ravens, which is impressive. However, I don't think the Ravens I think they gave the game away a little bit, especially with all of the drop picks. So I'm happy that the Browns have switched quarterbacks, but and I obviously he's going to do better than the former player had done. But he's going to throw picks. I do think the offensive line is going to be a problem for the Chargers, but I think at the end of the day, Justin Herbert's running a really high QBR right now, and with the Browns being banged up and the uncertainty at quarterback with inconsistencies and throwing potential picks, I think they'll grab a few of those and they'll capitalize on it, and it will be the Chargers.
Look at this game, and the Browns performed admirably. They performed great against the Ravens last week. Cedric Tillman coming into the game, filling in for a now departed Amari Cooper.
Don't worry, he's not dead. He was just traded.
Yes, he was traded to Buffalo.
It's a Halloween curse.
Indeed. The Chargers, they struggled last week. And, yeah, I mean, they played Arizona last week, didn't they?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Oh, who the hell did Arizona play?
Miami.
Yeah.
Miami. That's right. Sorry, this thing is starting to squeeze my head. So, with the way the Browns played last week, I think they're coming off of a big high. They're walking on sunshine right now, and I think the Chargers are going to catch them and they're actually going to pop them in the mouth. I think, just like Jessica said, Jameis Winston, he throws a lot of picks. I think it was 5-6 years ago he threw 30 picks and 30 touchdowns in a season, and it was just ridiculous. And he's prone to doing that. He's a bit of a slinger, and I got the Chargers with that defense actually making this game a win for the Chargers. So that's what I got. All right, now let's get into our last game of the week. Jessica, Minnie Mouse, what you got?
So I have the Miami Dolphins at Buffalo Bills. So the Buffalo Bills have been pretty red hot the last couple of weeks, and they look great. However, Miami, on the other hand, doesn't. They did get Tua back last week, and he looked really good for being out for 8 weeks or whatever it was.
Hadn't been out that long. They only played 8 games.
Whatever. He went out pretty early though.
I think it was week 3 against Buffalo.
Yes, it was against Buffalo because he hit Hamlin. But either way, he was out for several weeks and he looked pretty good. But I think this coming week he's going to look even better. Miami really needs a win. This is a big rivalry game for these two teams. Buffalo historically gets this win. I think it's like 99% of the time. However, I think with Buffalo having such a large lead in their division, the stakes aren't quite as high. I do think that they're going to play really well, but I think this is a game that Tua comes out and he's, got something to prove. Apparently this last week he was, the players were saying that he was like holding some sort of grudge and was angry at everything and, trying to prove something. This is a much bigger game for them, and he will have shaken that rust off. I think it's going to be a very close game and a very hard-fought win, but I am going to go with the underdog here, the severe underdog, and take the Dolphins. Anybody?
I couldn't tell by the facial expressions of our skeleton friend who was next. I'll go, I guess. So this highly favored to the Bills, as Jessica said, it's completely in that direction. I believe the Dolphins will turn into zombie dolphins, and the Buffalo Bills will actually grow wings, as Jessica Simpson predicted so many years ago. And they will fly over the zombie dolphins to victory.
Sorry, I was trying to do some last-minute research here, but, the internet connection in the underworld is very, very bad. I was looking to see what the box score was in week 2 when Tua went out to see, because Buffalo did win that game 30-10. So I was looking to see what quarter Tua went out, what the score was, XYZ, but I couldn't find it because Hades does not have fiber optic connection yet.
Did you not pay the toll?
I think it was early in the game.
Either way, I'm going with Buffalo because after watching Buffalo and Seattle last week, Buffalo's defense had a swag about them. And I haven't seen a swag like that since Frank Sinatra met me down here. So I think Tua is going to look better. I think this game is going to wind up in a shootout because Miami's defense, for whatever reason, has not been good this year. And when they have so many big name players on their team, and honestly wouldn't be surprised if they tried to trade one of those big name players here getting close to the deadline. But with James Cook scoring 3 touchdowns the last time these two teams played, I see another big game out of James Cook this week. So I have Buffalo, but in an absolute shootout.
For purposes of everybody knowing, he did go out in the third quarter.
Oh.
So I think that's when he received his concussion.
Annoying dragon.
Yes. I look at this game and I see the Buffalo Bills newly acquired shiny new wide receiver, Amari Cooper. I see the Dolphins with their running game and their Tua coming back, looking for revenge, needing this game desperately to stay relevant in the AFC this year. I got the Dolphins winning this one simply because I think that combination of Tyreek Hill with Tua, hopefully staying in the entire game this time, will be a little much for a Bills team that's just not ready for it. They're going to get caught off guard. They're going to lose. I got the Dolphins. Go Fins. All right, let's get into our pop panel quick pick'ems. Let's take a look and see where we differed. And of course, I'm the only one that picked the Cowboys this week.
No.
Well, when I pick them, they win.
Well, when
you
notice you have a point. When I give the Falcons credit, they do diddly.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
The Cowboys, I think, bounce back this week. I think it's just it's kind of an on and then off again for the Cowboys, and this is an on week. So they get the win here. The Falcons tend to blow it when they really need it. So
Who did the Falcons play last week?
Tampa Bay.
They played them pretty well, and I feel like they're coming together a lot.
They tore up Tampa Bay twice this year, and I think Tampa's got a better defense than Dallas does.
Oh, yeah, everybody does.
They beat Tampa without their 2 best wide receivers.
They also beat Tampa when they had their 2 best wide receivers.
Early in the season when they were trying to get everything going.
2 weeks before.
Whatever.
The Falcons team is really coming together, it feels like. So, I don't know.
Tell that to Bijan. All right, let's take a look at the next set. And, of course...
Oh, these are all mixed. Oh, maybe just 2.
Not really. Only Brady's picking differently today.
Okay, to be fair, New England, Tennessee, complete crapshoot. Like,
it is.
That's a coin flip that's going to land in a pile of turds.
Yeah, and didn't Tennessee just get rid of...
They traded Denard Hopkins.
They traded Hopkins, and they traded a linebacker to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I might change that one, but I don't know. They're both turds.
I'm a man of integrity, or a dragon of integrity.
I mean, a dragon man.
Burning up his fuse out here alone.
I'm a dragon man.
We are split on the Chicago-Arizona game.
Complete crapshoot because Arizona's offense has looked really good, but Chicago's defense looked really, really good last week against a good offense in Washington.
For 59 minutes and 59 seconds, yes.
He will never make that mistake again.
Nope.
But I do have a hard time picking Arizona ever because they're kind of like the Cowboys. Like, they could do really well. They can score 60 points. And then they just show up and, like, look like a bunch of kindergartners. So you just never know.
It's
I have a hard
also
time picking
been
with little legs.
It's also been over like by the time this game is played 1 week since the new Call of Duty dropped, and Kyler Murray statistically plays like garbage on Call of Duty, like new
He
weekends.
does.
That's a really random stat to know.
It
Ju-
is, but
look
it
at it.
is the truth.
You know
Double
what, though? I
experience
bet you that's
weekend?
not true anymore because he's gotten so much crap for that I bet you he doesn't do it anymore.
If he does it this week, I will never bring it up again. But every like double experience weekend or anything, he goes out and absolutely lays an egg.
They tried to put a clause in his contract that he couldn't.
Hmm.
Sorry, I had to sit up there for a second.
That's okay. All right. And then, of course, we've pretty much already talked about that one. So,
Well, I misspoke and said that I was taking the Seahawks I said I was taking the Rams, and I must not have put that in my picks.
we did not.
I
So-
will say the Colts now switching quarterbacks to go
Joe
to Joe
Flacco.
Flacco makes that game a little bit more interesting because at this point, I'm convinced Anthony Richardson is not going to be an NFL quarterback by the time his contract's up because he quit on his team for a play. But that also means that defense of Minnesota gets to feast on a quarterback who's got the mobility of a statue.
Listen, he's shockingly fast. He just looks really slow.
He's like a stork. Big long legs and doesn't
Also
move
like
fast.
38. Like
Maybe fast isn't the right word, but he's a lot faster than he looks.
What do you got against 38-year-olds?
you're not a professional athlete, Tarek. No one's trying to hit you with their full body weight at work.
I hope not.
Mm.
And then unfortunately, we all have Kansas City, but that would be awesome if it was Tampa Bay.
I'm willing to take that loss.
Yeah.
Yet another team that could use a trade for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I will commit my soul to stay here for the rest of the season if Tampa Bay wins that game.
Done.
Now I just want to see it happen.
I'll make a few phone calls.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this Halloween special of Pardon Our Picks. We appreciate your viewership. Please click like, click subscribe so you know when we do more stupid crap like this. It's fun. Leave a comment down below. Who is the best costume? Should Brady stay in the underworld? Something for Carol to do. I can't think after last week's weird.
Tell Brady he's lost some weight.
I shaved my hair, Mom. It's fine.
That's what the keto diet does to you.
Also, shout out to Dan because he's the only other one that comments on this. But thank you all. We will see you next week. I am Captain Tarek.
I'm Jessica, aka Minnie Mouse.
I'm trapped in hell.
And I am Denbershard Samuel. You have a great football week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Yar.
Yep. There it is. It's still going.
It's still going.